If I'm here and you're there, it must be time for the Phil Taylor Jones Show. Welcome. Well, today's topic is basically about the Ebola virus. Well, no big news there, but the news is that it's now here in this country. How did it get here? Well, as the account has it, this fellow was visiting with family members in Africa, and the family members had the disease. He got it, brought it back with him. Remember a few videos ago when I was sort of chomping at the bit about maybe closing the borders and not letting everybody in here, so hopefully we wouldn't have to put up with ISIS being in the country or more ISIS. We don't know if they're here or not. And definitely the Ebola thing, well, there it is. This president and the other political muckety mucks, they're not on their job, And then there's even a big stink now brewing about whether or not we should ban flights from West Africa, not allow them to even land here. There shouldn't even be a question about that. We're talking about a deadly disease, perhaps more deadly over there in West Africa and other third world nations within that region because of the lack of medical expertise, the lack of medical supplies, what have you. But nevertheless, it's a devastating disease. It's a devastating illness that can quickly spread, as we've seen over the past few weeks, as it stands over there in Africa. So why then would you allow something to come into the country and infect your people? And then why would you sit there and dicker about it? Oh, but we don't want to upset relations with them. Listen, when you're half dead and you're sending people or allowing people from your half dead country to come to this country and make us half dead, then your relations have already been affected. And no. Do they think like that? No, they're political idiots. They're muckety mucks. They're stupid. Very stupid. Because that would have been the first thing I would have done is, shut that down so that the planes can land here. And on the off chance that someone may have jumped someone else's plane and come here, you need to step up your intel on that. You need to step up your security. You want to know where these people are coming from on all scores. And if indeed you don't want to do that, at least quarantine these people when they step off in fact, don't even let them step off the plane in a regular concourse. You have that plane taxi over to some tent area where they can step off the plane right into this isolation chamber where they will remain for 2 weeks or whatever the gestation period is for this disease to make sure it is not spread. Here, we have a little cell phone you can use. You can use a landline, call your people, tell them not to pick you up at the airport, that you're going to be here for a while until you're clear to go. Now I know that seems very cumbersome. So to, avert all of that, just don't let the planes land here. Simple. But do politicians do things the simple way? No. They got to go and do it the complicated way because they're idiots. Pure and simple. Was also reading further in the news where these other foreigners that are coming over here by the boatloads and sending their kids and what have you are diseased, because they don't have proper medication. Their hygiene is terrible, so they're developing diseases and, quite happily and cordially passing them on to us. When will the politicians learn? That's why countries have borders, to keep the people in their own country. Let them stay over there in their own country. Let them solve their own problems. We are not the world's end-all, cure-all of everything, although it's been philosophized and solidified and, all of this. We're not the guardians of the world. We're having problems keeping our own stuff together. Look at the Supreme Court this morning, or at least I heard of it this morning, where they overturned these 5 states that were trying to keep gay marriage or obliterated. Well, good on you, Supreme Court. You finally came through with a good one. Who cares if 2 people of the same sex want to get married? That's their business. I give them credit. They're trying to stop the promiscuity. They're trying to stop all the AIDS and the venereal diseases and all this kind of thing by getting into a nice little monogamous relationship with somebody they found and fell in love with. Well, you know, that's part of the American dream, isn't it? And these hypocritical states and people that are against gay marriage and all that, they're the same ones who, well, it's against God, it's against religion. But that's the same religions, creepy fakakta religions, that are taking these little kids into the confessionals and back behind the church and boinking them and ruining their lives. You know, is that any nearer to God? So, I mean, if you're going to clean house, you don't do a mother-in-law's clean. You go up under the bed, you drag them fuzz bunnies out of there, you get that crap out from in the corner, and you clean up the whole house. You just don't clean up the part that suits you. You know, oh, gay marriage is terrible. But do they do anything about the movie industry and videos and music and any other type of media you may think of where they're performing illicit and lurid sex on TV and kids are watching that? You know, are they cleaning that up? Well, if you're going to clean up one thing, clean up the other. If you're going to be religious and the part of the moral majority and want to step up to the forefront and do something about one thing, do it about all the things. You know, so as I said to the Supreme Court, good on you. Okay, back to the disease that has now entered this country. Now, do I think it's something that just everybody needs to go around worried to death and sealing yourself up in a plastic bag and all that? No, I don't. And, you know, if the news media is leaning towards that direction, for right now they're saying there's no worry, you know, that's okay, and it's true. Because in this country, Ebola is a bad thing, you know, no doubt about it. But we are medically advanced. We have medical supplies, serums, vaccines, although not necessarily for Ebola, but you know, the folks are working on that every day. But we have a better chance of putting it down here than they do over there. So I don't see it as being something to just go and jump in the nearest hole and then pull the hole in after you. But yeah, it needs to be, you know, looked at with great scrutiny because of the idiots in Washington that are not, you know, on their game and keeping that stuff from coming over here. Just wanted to get that out there this morning, that what I said before, it still rings true. You need to close the borders. You need to get the message out to people. If you go to these places where all of this heinous terrorism is going on, just to get a story or, you know, to do some other kind of job, whether it be politically or, you know, militarily attached or whatever, that you're putting yourself at risk, and don't expect us to come bail you out. And as far as health concerns, you know that Ebola is not a good thing. It can and will kill you if not, you know, taken care of. So then why would you allow airliners or any private jets, ships, or anything to bring people over here that could possibly infect, you know, healthy sons and daughters of this country? You're not using good judgment, but wow, that's something brand new. You never use good judgment. Another thing, I don't know if I mentioned this before, Chris, did I mention the fact about the poll for the Ebola thing, having the planes come over? Did I mention that?
Yes.
I haven't had my coffee this morning yet, folks, so
Poll? Oh no, you mentioned.
okay, well, yeah, I was looking also in the media, and there was a poll, and I actually voted whether or not you think the United States should ban these various airliners or what have you from coming into the United States from West Africa. And I put a resounding yes, they should ban. And then when I actually voted, they had a breakdown of, you know, how people did vote across the country. 94%, 94 in favor of banning flights from West Africa. There you have it, folks. I mean, that's what the country is thinking. So why aren't these idiot politicians acting on it? Because they want to play their political games with our lives in the balance. And that's what we're up against. I was reading some of the comments, and a lot of the comments were right in line with what I've been saying all along about, being too free and easy with the borders, letting everybody come in here. We're going to go down in flames one day because of that. And somebody needs to do something about it. I'm going to keep preaching it until somebody asks people like me, and perhaps you, and perhaps your friends and relatives, how to fix it. Because they are not listening to us. Just as you don't let any and everybody come into your home, no matter how kind-hearted you are or philanthropic you are, you don't let everybody in your house for a reason. You have deadbolts, double deads, chains, slip chains, regular door locks, slip latches on your door for a purpose. Because everybody that's on the other side of that door is not your friend. And if you're sensible enough to know that in your own homes, why in hell can't these idiots in Washington, D.C. and every other capital in the states that we call these United States understand that fact? It's just crazy. We shouldn't have to be going through all of this. We should be, worrying about the regular things we have to worry about, like high gas prices and trying to find a job and trying to make it happen for our families and our loved ones, taking care of what we as an American people need to take care of. We shouldn't have to be worried about Ebola, okay? We shouldn't have to be worrying about the ISIS people coming over here sending missiles up our ass. If the United States government had kept their nose in their own damn business in the first place, we wouldn't have to be worried about all this crap in the second place. They claim they're making significant strides against, at the time, Al-Qaeda. Well, these branches, ISIS and these other, what's that other one that they claim that they don't talk about and they should be talking about? The name of that group escapes me. But, if you took care of Bin Laden, supposedly, and cut off the head there, and you cut off these other high up muckety mucks in this terrorism thing, then, you should be complete. But it's gotten worse. So, stop feeding us this load of crap about what you're doing with ISIS, because I don't think you're really doing a damn thing. If something came out on the news, even this pitiful mess of a president got on national TV and said, "Oh, well, I think we underestimated. We underestimated. We got wrong intel." When it comes to your enemy, you never underestimate, especially when you're dragging all these other countries in with you. Next thing you know, they're going to start pulling out. I think my brother's gotten some information on that other terrorist group.
The name of the group is Khorasan.
The Khorasan, yeah.
Khorasan group.
And that's an offshoot from Al-Qaeda.
They say they're more dangerous about bombing us in the United States than ISIS is. They're more concerned about that.
See, there you have it. And these idiots are sitting over there, I don't know, with their fingers up their butt, trying to figure out what to do. So as I said again, if these politicians, and other muckety mucks were diligent about taking care of the needs that we elected them to, to go to office for, we wouldn't have to be worried about this, offshoot crap. We shouldn't have to be worried about that. There's enough to worry about already. So don't help us out. These governments all over the world are stupid. Look at China, big bad China. You got 1 million plus kids out in the street raising pure hell because they're sick of the tyrannical rule of the communists. We say who's going to be your president. If you don't like it, that's your ass. You're going to have to put up with it for 8 or 9, 10 years. They don't want to do that anymore, so they're taking it to the streets in record numbers. And the numbers that the Chinese, Red China, for so many years taunted us with, "Oh, we got so many people, we can hand carry a bomb over there and blow your ass off." Well, yeah, now it's turned on them because they're having a hard time getting them kids out of the street, And then the big bad prime minister or whatever he is, pitiful looking mess. Looks like something you have a bad dream of after eating too much Chinese food. You got 1 million plus in the streets raising hell. and they're calling for him to step down, but he thinks he's so badass that, oh, I'm not stepping down, but we will make some concessions and try to meet with you. If I was in that kind of I'm getting emotional about this game of talk. If I were in that kind of a position where I've got 1 million plus in the streets raising hell and calling for me to step down, obviously I haven't been doing a good job. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get my ass out of there. Let somebody else try to do it. But they're so cocky. They're so, thinking that their crap doesn't stink, that they stay in there and make a bad situation worse. And just like here in this country, politicians all over the world, they stink. They're a steaming pile of horse turds. And that's why we're in the position that we're in. Okay, that's just my take on it. And to all of you supporters out there who've been supporting me, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. If you'd like to become a new supporter or tell a friend, please do so. On the YouTube thing, there's a little button there that you can hit to, become a new supporter. I really much appreciate that. And as I always say, in this crazy mixed up world we live in, where anything can happen and probably does, stay safe, and to the greater extent, stay happy. Bye-bye.